Welcome to Flair Play, a podcast where we chat all things Arsenal, all things football. My name is Warwick, and just to the left of me, 13,000 kilometers away in South Korea, is Dismal.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us on our podcast. Be sure to follow us on Spotify and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, hit us with a follow on Twitter at play_flair and at Flair Play Podcast on Instagram. We hope you enjoy the podcast.
And I deserve a bit more credit than wrong information. I won 4 times the FA Cup. Who has won it more? Give me one name.
Still Henry. Keeps on his feet. Henry, yes! Split for Adams! That's a sensational finish. Ball from Bergkamp to Patrick Vieira! The captain! Sorkandel! Look! Gomez should have saved it. Gomez misses it. Well, we don't mind that today.
Welcome to another episode of Flair Play. Today we're joined by a special guest. He's an entrepreneur in Amsterdam. He's a good friend, and most importantly, he's an Arsenal supporter. Greg, how you doing, bro? It's good to have you here.
Oh, it's very good to be here. Thanks for inviting me, guys.
And then obviously we're joined by, the usual Luandiso in the back. Luandiso, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, with Greg being here, I've been shifted to the back of the bus. Ha! That's not funny, actually. But, Greg, welcome, buddy. We're very happy to have you here under these not so happy circumstances.
It's depressing, man.
It's depressing, yeah. But that's what we're going to be chatting about, and that's why we've invited you on the podcast to share some of your expertise on things happening at Arsenal.
I love how you call Arsenal when we're in shit form, but like when we take a dub, we're the Arsenal.
Yeah, of course, you got to drop that because it's
not important.
It's a bit insignificant now.
You have to earn the dub.
Yeah, you do.
You have to earn it. Look at that. We're fighting for that instead of fighting for the trophy. Oh, jeez. I hate to see it. So, Greg, guys, you all watched the North London derby, the glorious North London derby?
Sad. I think it's been one of my worst, but yeah.
Is it, eh?
Yeah, it's up there.
So,
I can't think of it. There was that one North London derby. I think it was also, it's away. But it was when Kane was like, it was like his outbreak season, and he scored from like the edge of the box. That was one of the worst. But this one's just as bad for me because it's not just about Tottenham beating us. It's about Tottenham going through tough fixtures and, getting dubs and looking very likely to be challenging for the top, which made me, it adds that little bit more of, sadness because, in the past they might beat us, but, they'll never challenge for a title. But, it is what it is, and sometimes you've got to face the truth because I think they're looking very likely for the league, in them and Liverpool.
So it was like coming into this game, I don't even know what to call Arsenal. The Arsenal, like in poor form, self-inflicted, and we're facing a very strong Tottenham with Harry Kane and Son, and the special one. I think now he can redeem that name almost. Well, at least that's what he showed on Sunday. Jose Ramirez. Jose Mourinho basically has Arsenal's number, and I think that's another reason why this one kind of pinched a bit. So let's start. Let's see what were our feelings leading up to the game.
Greg, maybe you go ahead. Everyone knows our feelings.
I was excited. It's a North London derby, so form can go out the window.
Yeah.
And it can come to be and there's before every game, you get that little bit of hope as just a general football fan. and then when you see the lineup, we're like, okay, yeah, we're going to a back five. So Saka and Bellerin can actually do some things and get creativity since we got nothing in the middle. But obviously, Bellerin is just twat right now.
Dude, the foul throws, dude. The most basic rule. Okay, besides touching the ball with your hand, ironically, and like a throw in. The foul throws for me. I know we're jumping the gun, but yeah, that just fucked me off. Carry on, bro. Carry on.
Yeah. So I was excited, and then it looked like when Son's goal went in, I was like, okay, you couldn't stop that goal. I don't care what team you were playing at the moment, but that goal was going to go in. So then I was like, okay, but we're still playing well.
Yeah.
We still had a good formation, and then when that whole thing happened just before Harry Kane's goal, and then it just like went downhill from there. And then there's still, I don't know, then you got Aubameyang not seeming like he's being a good enough leader anymore. Nothing in the midfield. And then, there's that little bit of defense that is looking a little bit shaky, obviously, but also like promising at the same, like, because Gabriel's still doing his thing and they're putting in their work, but if no one's putting the work around you, there's nothing going to happen.
I completely agree, dude. Like I couldn't say that we didn't try. Like entire game. It's just when the players who weren't on form had the ball, it's when we lost the ball and we fucked up. Because I do think there were a lot of players who played like really well. Like you mentioned, Gabriel. Saka took a while to get into the game, but he started like putting in some good balls. And Tierney, I thought, was absolutely excellent. He was even like Jose Mourinho, like the commentators were saying, like he was looking at that left flank and like trying to stop those crosses. And I can imagine it must be so frustrating for those players who play well, but the rest of the team around them isn't like doing well, because every time Bellerin got the ball, nothing really happened. Willian as well. Xhaka, fuck. How did you feel, Lua?
I just looking back at our previous pod when we made the score predictions, I'd kind of preempted that we will catch a L here against Tottenham, and my score line was actually a bit higher, so maybe they did better than I expected. I predicted a 3-1 or 3-0 loss, and we lost 2-0.
I predicted that, by the way.
Huh?
I predicted that 2-0.
You predicted a 2-0. Good call. Before the game, there may be two things that I was like concerned about, so that that I noticed. One was Aubameyang's interview about the fans coming back to the stadium. He spoke about that, and his body language in that interview felt like, it looked like a captain who wasn't really sure of himself speaking to the fans, especially after this year and the prospect of the fans coming back to the stadiums. And it, for me, just to show that like Aubameyang is short of confidence at the moment. He looks very lethargic or just de-spirited, if I can say, And then the other thing was Arteta, I think, in one of the post-match presses against in our previous fixture, where he pointed out that, okay, even though we didn't create any chances, we were whipping in so many crosses. So if we continue to whip in the crosses, something will come from them, right? We'll get a goal. And I was like, oh my goodness, he's going to rely on just, crossing the ball and playing inshallah football and hoping that we get a goal. You know what I mean? Like, that for me spoke to the fact that Arteta is kind of short of ideas at the moment. Yeah. So those are the two things that I noticed leading up to the game. the third, which I was when I saw the lineup, I was like, okay, this is interesting. Going back to like the three, was it a 3-4-3?
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
party inclusion as well is also
Yeah, and the
interesting.
inclusion of party really surprised me. It actually should have excited me, but it didn't, because I was like, this is a bit concerning. Why is he back and being rushed in? The other thing was Lacazette literally playing Cam. And I was like, oh, I saw how he played Cam against Rapid Weeners in the Europa League, and okay, he's playing Cam. He scored a beautiful goal, but this is Lacazette. He's been playing as a central striker throughout his career.
Yeah.
Now he has to learn a whole new position at the ripe age of 30 or 29 or 30. Like, what is going on here?
Yeah. I mean, that shows. That's like we mentioned in the previous past, like in the previous pod. I was like, I just don't want to see Arteta clutching at straws. Making these wild changes because he doesn't have any idea and because his plan isn't working. Eventually it's going to come down to, if politics aside, and if it wasn't like the case, Ozil's going to come back in Jan and play. If it comes down to that, then I think we can lose a lot of trust in what he's trying to do and whether he actually has a vision. Not a vision. I think he has a vision. He's openly said that like he wants to win the Champions League. I think I saw a great tweet where someone was like, I think he confused Champions League with championship.
You can,
but him clutching and like sort of tinkering with his ideology is very strange because, and you just mentioned it now, like running out of ideas. Like that's one thing a young manager, should be full of. Especially coming out of like the academy of coaching, if you would, the school of coaching, where you've been with Pep Guardiola, you've been coached under Moyes, who was successful for Everton at that time, keeping them like in and out of European spots, like always in the top half of the table consistently. Then you go to like Pep Guardiola. No, then you play under Wenger. And Wenger has said that he's always seen him as part of the group of players who were interested in the tactical like nuances of the game. And there you can borrow ideas as well. Like you borrow ideas of like stability from Moyes, creativity from Wenger, and then like almost finishing it off with your masters under Pep Guardiola. Like for me, I can't think of a better management journey. No, I wouldn't say management, but the school of management journey, where you got like people with different identities and stuff, like and some opposing. But I mean, it's just such a well-rounded, like knowledge base, and yet he's got no ideas. And then him tinkering with extreme ideas and not having a defined philosophy is very, very worrying. And then that was one of the things I was most excited about in bringing a young manager in, was because of like new and modern ideas, and also because of his learning experience.
Yeah, but we know we're in trouble when the name Mesut Ozil makes it in like within like the 10 minutes of the pod. Just looking at the game from Sunday. So, we had Lacazette playing in the hole, and Arsenal, Arteta looking bereft of ideas. The first half, if we look at the first half, Greg, what do you think of the first half? You said Arsenal we were playing well. You thought even after the first goal, you thought we might come back, but that wasn't the case. What happened? I don't understand.
I think it's
we were like not there, but yeah,
it's a clear lack of leadership, and I don't think it's if we got and that's leadership, even not just within the team, but maybe even from Mikel Arteta himself. Yeah, maybe he was a great leader on the field, but maybe he's just not bringing that into the dressing room and taking control of it. That we have that clear plan, but then obviously I think it's just we got outclassed.
Yeah.
We just got outclassed.
I think we played into Mourinho's hands. It was just a tactical masterclass again. Mourinho.
I mean, he knew we don't have any midfield.
Yeah. And commit our midfield as well, yeah.
Yeah, and then he, what do you then do? Oh, I can put in a five-man midfield.
Yeah. Yeah, and rely on the pace of Son. And catch us on the break. And
Bergwijn, and there's...
Your man say Bergwijn differently that side.
Yeah, you can see man is in Holland.
Bergwijn.
I was going to say, when I looked at just thinking about Tottenham, like what Mourinho has been able to do with that Tottenham squad. I mean, it was already a much improved Tottenham from when we were still growing up. Having gone through Pochettino's tenure at White Hart Lane. And then, what Mourinho has been able to do in convincing some of those Tottenham players, especially their attacking players, about, their off-the-ball work and their defensive responsibilities. It's almost like what Arteta was bringing in our run-up to the FA Cup. But, watching Kane play, I saw a different Kane playing. The first goal, okay, wait, I have to talk about both goals quickly. The first goal, I mean... We love Son here in Korea, myself included. World class, right? I was worried today going to work that my students are going to banter me about that Son goal, but it was very crisp. He bent it, but I was like, maybe it was Leno not well positioned, because it wasn't there wasn't a lot of power behind that shot. It was just perfectly finessed. Which was, it was sublime. It was sublime. But then, for me, his standout moment, second to the goal, was how he set up Kane for the second goal. He did he did a step over, and he knew Kane almost telepathically that Kane is coming on the left shoulder, and he drew the defense in with the step over, and then just passed the ball to Kane, and Kane, that finish. I wish that finish didn't hit the bar first before going in, because it kind of I startled a bit. It kind of shocked me.
It gave me a split second of hope that it wasn't going to go in.
Yeah, but it hits the bar and then and then it goes in. That was a hard shot. It's an incredible, well worked out goal and great partnership between Kane and Son. But just throughout that half, you could see that Tottenham were so in tune with what they had to do. We don't have to fight in keeping the ball, but just wait until we just soak up the pressure and we break them on the counter. And that's exactly what they did. And throughout the whole first half and the game as well, Mourinho was having the time of his life, dude. Everything was just going to plan. And Arteta, well, I would say he was sweating, but I don't think that man can sweat under all that, that gel. But that's how I felt about the first half. We played against a very strong Tottenham team. My man of the match, I want to say Son, but Kane was exceptional.
I just saw Kane going defending and then scoring a goal a second later.
Yeah, he's brilliant.
It was also, I don't understand about Tottenham. They've just built a new stadium, and with COVID, they haven't been making the income as they thought they would with this new stadium. Yet they're still not selling selling players.
It's that Amazon
left, right,
Prime.
and center.
It's that Amazon Prime contract, bro. It saved their bacon.
If only we could have had that, we could have kept all those players when we got the Emirates. Because
I think,
But it's been they've been really smart in the transfer market. they haven't gone for players who are wildly expensive. I mean, you say your guy's man of the match is like Son and the Kane. I thought Emil Højbjerg was exceptional, dude. He was like that's Mourinho's man. Like Kane could he's played a different role now, like almost providing for Son. But Højbjerg does all the dirty work, and that's what Mourinho loves. And I can't think of when last we had a player who does dirty work like that, winning fouls and then taking fouls in key moments of the game. Oh no, but he wasn't even good. Like he wasn't. He was that player, but not in the Prem. Whenever I think of that guy, I think of that epic. When you pulled his hammy or something and he dived into the air like a salmon, dude.
Yeah. There's you're very right there. You're very right there about Højbjerg's performance.
Højbjerg.
Am I pronouncing it right?
Højbjerg.
Højbjerg. Yeah, in Korea we call him Højbjerg. But yeah, I think he had a stand-up performance, definitely Mourinho's man. Something funny though, I don't know if it's funny, but something very confusing and perplexing, also very, very much Arsenal, was that how we conceded that second goal and the confusion with Thomas Partey coming off the field and then Arteta pushing him back onto the pitch. And as he got pushed back, he pulled up again. This is what is going on. We just had the David Luiz moment. With the player, playing, finishing a whole half despite the fact that he just had a heavy knock and he was bleeding. I even saw Saka bleeding last night. I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy, he's gonna bleed out and just bleed out all over the pitch. Sorry, man, you're not gonna be pulled off for that.
Yeah.
And then Thomas Partey. So Thomas Partey gets rushed in. What was Arteta's thinking about that? Do you think it was the player who said, "Coach, I'm ready to play"? Or do you think it was Arteta and, the medics saying that, well, he's ready to play?
I think it's probably desperation from the manager's side and the coaching staff. But then there's also the pleasing side of players, I feel like maybe as a professional player, you always just want to go on and also on that grand of a scale, you want to show the world that you can just push and carry on and you're the tough guy. Maybe it's just some toxic masculinity kind of shit there.
Yeah, because I think all players, all players want to play, and if there's the slither of hope, they want to be in that team.
Also, adrenaline as well. I mean, you've just been knocked, and maybe Luiz was doing everything when they were testing him, okay, where are you? What's your name? How many children you have? He was answering all those questions, and he's like, yeah, I'm fine. And then
I wonder if the medical staff actually knew the answers to those questions.
I'm sure they do. Also, you just had a new baby recently, David Luiz.
It's easy to forget names for newborns.
But with this Thomas Partey incident, I think, there's not much information that is out there. At least at this time. But I feel like he was definitely rushed in. Because actually in the first half he was one of our better players. He was our better players because he's just a better player. Not so much about he had a sensational performance per se. His game reading is just Oaks. Partey comes in and is Oaks, let's play ball. What are you Oaks doing? There was a moment where he had Willian running on the right flank and Partey had the ball in the middle, and he looked at Willian, saw his afro. I'm not passing to that guy. Switched his body and then passed it to the left flank to Aubameyang. That's just how his ability to read the game in
make
a very
decisions
simplistic way and make decisions. You know what I mean? Where everyone else is just fluff.
Yeah.
It almost seems like I do think he was rushed in, and even if he wasn't, I don't think you come back to your first game and you start.
Yeah.
Tottenham away, especially after a poor run of form. Again, player management is poor there from Arteta, I must say. So, I think for me the whole game was finished after the first two goals. Tottenham just have and their game management was flipping good.
Fabulous.
They just kept a good defensive shape, waited for our moments of we lapse in concentration, and then look for opportunities on a counter. For me again, Xhaka didn't really do much. I feel very strongly about what Willian does and what Willian does not do. I also don't like how when he dribbles with the ball, he dribbles with his one right arm up like he's prime Ronaldinho. I just don't like that I really don't know why. Again, the question comes up, why did we buy him? Whose man is he? Is this Arteta's man? What's the situation? Because, I mean, I in the beginning of the game, with the opening minutes, I felt kind of positive about the formation. Because I think that is Arteta's formation, the three at the back.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think that's ever going to change.
Yeah, that is his formation. And now Aubameyang has gone back to the left wing. Where was Aubameyang playing? In central or left?
Yeah. He kept switching. Like, he would go left, and then if Saka would push up, he would go into centre, and Laka would drop.
Yeah.
Laka was playing cam, right? Or like a false nine, if you want to.
Yeah. Very deep. At stages, he was like in midfield, collecting the ball off defenders. Yeah.
There was something that he couldn't. Sorry, Warwick.
No,
There's something that that he couldn't do that I think a natural cam would be able to do, and that is knowing when to drift around and finding the ball so that you can progress the ball. So he was in two places of like, well, I'm cam, I should be in the hole, and I should wait for the ball from the defensive midfielders or the defenders, and then maybe I can play a pass.
Yeah.
But sometimes you have to literally come and knock the ball around with, the deep lying centre mids, or just so that there's movement, so that there's lots of movement. But he was very static, and I think you also said this during the game, where I was like, so we're very static here.
Yeah.
There is no movement, and because of that, there's no way that we're going to break down or find holes in that Tottenham defense or that Tottenham shape. It was very easy for Tottenham to win that game. I think this might have been like the easiest game of the league thus far. Very predictable.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you hit the nail on the head. Like
100%.
Yeah.
For me, like, if someone's going to play in that role, like you said, like any central role, even if it's in defense, you've got to read space, because that's where the most space is in field. Well, not necessarily, but it's where you can cause like a lot of damage, because it's easy to cover, if it goes wide or whatever. But as soon as you break the line through the middle, the defenders are facing their own goal, like tracking back, and the midfielders are lagging behind. And to be a good, play that cam role, you need to be a good reader of space and find space to move into, to link up play, and to link up the left flank with the right flank, be that link. And then, it brings us back to this Ozil discussion, because, that's something that Ozil does really well. He might not always find a pass that unlocks. And I'm saying not always. I mean, like, every moment he gets. But it almost seemed as though when Lacazette got the ball, he was desperate to find a pass that unlocked, whereas Ozil would have maybe done a little bit of passing here and there, but keep moving, keep the defense and the deep-lying midfield and opposition guessing as to where he's going, with like a drop of a shoulder or two, but then still play the pass. But the next time you drop that shoulder and you move.
Yeah.
And you know what? I could even argue that Ozil is potentially, I imagine... because Laka is in that position, Arteta thinks that he's a better finisher, but Ozil is one of that guy can finish, dude. Like, when he has a chance, he usually scores. He might not get it very often, but yeah, I just don't see why we want to put a striker in that role and play someone out of depth when we have one of the most decorated central attacking midfielders potentially in the history of the game,
well, at least in modern world football.
Yeah,
because I was thinking about Lacazette. What's interesting is, like, I saw Lacazette playing deep, and then you also had Kane playing deep. and one striker that for me has been able to do that, throughout his career, but very differently and with greater quality and awareness of space is Thomas Muller. Who can play as a nine, but also who can also play. Who's just good with his movements and who can also play the passes. I think Lacazette just thought, if I'm playing 10, I get the ball, find the killer pass. There's a lot more work to be done there in that position. And in the absence of Ozil, of course, I think there were other options. You could have played Willock or you could have played Ceballos in that 10 role and then have Lacazette still advanced. But that's not what that wasn't Arteta's thinking, So I think we caught a massive L, an expected one, but it was just dampened by the fact that our recent form has been so poor, and it looks like Arteta and the team is in the mud. Our captain still looked very leggy. I was thinking. Arsenal had the ball, and Arteta said, "Like, we had the ball. We had the possession, but we could have played on forever." And I don't think we were going to find any chances or create any chances or score a goal at any moment. Yeah, and Tottenham still looked fresh.
Yeah, I mean they didn't have any chances in the second half, like absolutely nothing.
You see,
but they still comfortably saw it out, and they were happy to defend. And it's not even though they're playing a low block. We just because they knew that we had like lack of creativity, that all we were doing is crossing the ball, and that they were happy to defend that. But anyway,
so I wanted to ask Greg, having seen that performance against Tottenham, and what are you thinking? What are your thoughts, rather? What's your thinking about, the state of affairs? We've picked up the FA Cup. We've almost forgotten about it now, and the Community Shield, because it's looking bad. It's looking bad again. It is bad again. It looks like we might be fighting relegation come Christmas.
Jesus.
So I just wanted to know what are your thoughts on Arteta's Arsenal side and the season at the moment, and what do you think should happen?
I don't think.
I
think Arteta's out of his league because if I look at last season or the last half of last season when Arteta came in, we didn't have to focus on the Premier League because we knew that was just out of the question. So he could just put himself and be like, okay, I want to focus on the FA Cup. But now we're at the start of the season and he's got all these competitions. I think he's he's lost the plot. So I don't think he's ready for this.
Do you think maybe he is, like, if he was to focus on one competition, which one do you think he is trying to focus on the most? Because so for me, I think he's focusing like on Europa.
I wouldn't even say he's focusing.
No, but that's even on shitty teams.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. It's not like he's focusing on Europa. It's just that the fixtures are easy.
Yeah, but I think maybe it's more plausible to get into the Champions League, and I know near the latter stages it is knockout football. And, good teams are potentially dropping into Europa.
Yeah.
But I think...
Real Madrid could drop into Europa.
Yeah. But that, besides that, I think it's still harder to make top 4 than it is to win the Europa. And I think we've shown ourselves, in the what could be now confirmed as a manager boom in the FA Cup in the latter stages, is that maybe he's a really good, Cup manager, because I think he's.
That's not what we need, though.
Yeah, I know.
I don't want a cup manager.
Unfortunately, we don't. This is my thinking. We don't have the squad depth to compete with the current teams in the top 4. I mean, dude, even the top 8 right now are all incredible. I mean, Southampton, dude, they are playing some of the best football I've ever seen since they were
Everton's
in Europa.
playing
Everton's
fantastic
playing well.
football.
Leicester are playing well. United are playing well. You know, it's a very, very tough to get into the top 8. And it's very difficult to get into that. So, you know, I think it's more plausible that we get into Champions League via the Europa League. What are your thoughts?
Well, if I look at the table, just looking at the table, I think we're out of top 4. I know we've only played like 10 fixtures, but around Christmas time, things really do start to shape up, you know. You know, so like the top 4: Tottenham, Liverpool, Chelsea, Leicester, and then Man United, who we were in the mud with not so long ago, and City as well. They've been able to, you know, make better of themselves, and now they're in contention of top 4, and now we're, like I said, like lingering and fighting potentially relegation with the likes of Brighton, newly promoted Leeds. My goodness. So I think you make the point, Warwick, that it's an issue maybe around squad depth. I think we lack quality in that squad.
Yeah.
And there is, I want to say, like something a bit like schizophrenic about that squad, because, you know, so many players have come in from so many different managers with different ideas about the kind of football they want to play or how they want to set the team.
Yeah.
So again, it goes back to, we need to get rid of some players, and it's been difficult. The board or management hasn't been able to do that and do good business in the transfer markets when it comes to exits.
Yeah.
You know, they've done really well on Guendouzi and are struggling, I suppose, with Ozil. Excuse me, but you still have Mustafi, Xhaka, and Kolasinac unwanted.
Yeah.
And questions over Lacazette as well. So we've brought in Willian Party, and I also, what's happening now, I also think like the team chemistry is really, really low, because you know, I can imagine for someone like Pepe and so for someone like Lacazette and Aubameyang not playing with Pepe, or Pepe not being in form, might be affecting them in, like, you know, among the French boys. Willian, Gabriel, and David Luiz are the Brazilian boys, but they're all relatively new to the club. You know, and there is no, I don't see synergy. You know, and it's such a contrast from the days when, you know, we were seeing all these the fun videos that they were shared on social media. Now it's just a dead thing, you know.
Yeah.
Well, of course, that's because the goals aren't coming, and so are the W's. But the more this carries on, it's going to be difficult to trudge ourselves out of this position.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be interesting if Arteta and they do, you know, approach Mesut Ozil again. Because I really think they need to. Like, I know, you know, I'm a Ozil fanboy, but I do think that approach needs to be made and try to bring him back into the squad. Most definitely.
Yeah, but I mean, if I was Ozil, I'd literally tell him to fuck off. Because, you know,
I think
how can you
the way he was treated?
Not for Arsenal. Not for Arsenal. Like, personally, dude, you a manager sidelines you for 6 months of a season, right? And then now expects you to be the answer in the rest of the season. I mean, that's like a lot of pressure. And also, like, if we are to believe that it is politics, no one wants to play for a club that backs you. I do think Ozil still wants to play football, but, you know, I think for his sake, I think he knows very well that a move for him is probably the better option.
I think just if you look at maybe some of his, you know, his PR managers, he what he's been doing is focusing maybe on other things, like, you know, his political activism and social activism, but also engaging with the fans almost. So like an acceptance that, okay, I'm not playing, but I'm still an Arsenal player, and for Ozil, I think what is at stake maybe is an opportunity to address or readdress his legacy at the club. He's come in a big money signing, a shift. He was a marquee signing in 2013. We've enjoyed great moments watching him play, and then because of how football has changed and maybe and as well dips in his performances in terms of output more so, there's been that same question mark over his head. So any opportunity for him to play, I think he'll take it. And then that can also show other teams around Europe that he's still capable of, of playing. So I don't think it'll be, I don't want to play. The ball has always been in Arsenal's court. Like, yes, I spoke up about a certain issue in China. You the club, are deciding to put that financial opportunity, that financial, assets, which is a Chinese market, over what I can deliver on the pitch. If you want to reintegrate the player, it literally is in Arsenal's court, and we'll just have to see. At the moment, there's no player on that pitch that is able to connect players, especially going forward. None. It's dead. Like the when we do an attack and creating chances, it's dead, and it's so frustrating to watch. Really, You look at Aubameyang, he's like a stick on that pitch.
Yeah.
And our creative opportunities yesterday came in from Saka, brilliant boy, like he's a talent, and Thomas Partey from deep. We had Thomas Partey playing basically Vieira-esque still, but no one to connect with. Like, if you look at Thomas Partey's football intelligence, he wants another player that he can trust with the ball. Like, if I give the ball to this guy, I trust in his ability to read the game, and he will make things happen. I don't have to shoulder all that responsibility.
Yeah. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah. I've also there's been mumblings about I want to say mumblings, but like also shouts literally about Arteta out. Are we already there?
I think I am. Like I said, I think he's out of his depth with this. He's not showing me anything.
Do you most of the good managers have been snatched out, and if we bring in a manager who might not have the influence that an experienced manager like Mourinho, who's obviously taken, or what's that Donny at Everton? I keep forgetting his name. Well, who's the manager at Everton?
At Everton?
Yes.
Ancelotti,
yeah. Like if we can't get the likes of them, aren't we just going to get someone who's inexperienced in the Premier League, who would give us that moment of management boom, where we play well, but then show the same signs we're showing now, because it's been happening for years, even while Wenger was here, that there's been a decline in the club, from Champions League football to Europa League football, and then now struggling to, just keeping our heads above relegation. Like, do you think another manager is going to solve this issue? And if so, who?
Pochettino's a shout.
But Pochettino, I mean, what has he won? I mean, isn't it? He's. It sounds crazy.
He has the experience. Arteta never won anything.
Arteta's won more trophies than Pochettino has in his whole managerial career. Pochettino hasn't won anything.
But I don't think we're looking for.
What about Eric Ten Hag?
To come and win anything. I think we're looking for what I'm thinking even about Arteta right now. I think Arteta came in with like this concept that, no, I've clocked football. Like, I understand, I'm God. This is, I know what's cutting here. Trust in me.
Bangs his chest.
Like, I've non-negotiables, all that chat. Like, dude, relax. This is it's still really incredible that this is his first managerial job and he's doing it at Arsenal. Let's just like not forget about that. With no experience, you know, and from being head coach, and then the next week he's been given like
management.
Management. Like he's a manager now, in the same breath as Arsene Wenger, and that's also like a departure from a certain policy the club had taken with Unai Emery making him head coach. There was a reason for that. So what is the difference with Arteta? After winning an FA Cup, what is the difference? What is it? You know, what's the reason? Because we're not seeing it. So I think again, Warwick, as we spoke about Greg last week, it has to do with the communications and expectations, the objectives and the communication of those objectives to the team and also to the fan base. What are the expectations? You know, if Arteta comes and wins the FA Cup and Community Shield, let's have that W in what has been a difficult season. You know, with the transition from an unsuccessful transition with Unai Emery, and then let's focus on building. But if you're going to focus on building, you can't make drastic changes as what we've seen. You know,
but also when it comes to building, you can't change managers because each manager's going to have a different approach to building. Because I don't think that Arteta has not tried to build the club. I think he, I've mentioned before, he's like installing culture and like communicating with the fans on, you know, wants to be a Champions League winner in 3 years. But if we're going to bring in, you know, new management who's going to have a different approach to building a team, it's going to add to that schizophrenic, you know, dilemma.
I mean, Chelsea actually, like, you could say Chelsea succeeded on that.
They did.
They kind of like just every season or 2 seasons, it will just be a new manager, a new thing. So,
but money solves all the issues, bro, because that's exactly what they had. We
Chelsea
don't.
has the culture of doing that.
Yeah.
And Warwick points out, money, when a manager comes in, the manager's backed financially. Okay, which players do you want? Type of thing. We don't have a culture. This is our first time, literally in our lifetime, you know, unless you started watching football from when you were 2 years old, we've seen different managers at Arsenal. So I think I don't want to be too. I mean, there's every reason to be harsh on Arteta, but also at the same time, I don't want to be
I'm with you.
You know, like for me, it's if his approach was coming in with a very like strict or ardent, like this is my football principle and I'm going to impose it, and then it wins you the FA Cup, you know, which is the tournament, then. If Warwick, like you said, if you addresses the defensive issues, let that be your base, and then let the other things
fall in line.
Fall in line. But what has happened is he's usurped or taken out 2 creative players in Guendouzi and Ozil, and struggled to bring Pepe into the game or into form. So and brought in Willian, someone who's over the age of 30 and who hasn't been playing the best of his football for the past 2 seasons or 3. You can ask any Chelsea supporter. So that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
You know? And like now going forward, he has to tap into the players in some way.
Yeah.
And also what I want Arteta to do, I don't want him to steal the show. I feel like he's stealing the show and making this about him to some degree. He has to instill trust in the players. You have to play the players into form, or
just back them. Yeah,
just back them a bit. You know, like what he did. Again, what happened with Pepe? He's now lambasted Thomas Partey. Like, oh, Thomas Partey should have done this. He should have fouled or gone to ground after picking up that knock. But like, and taking no cognition that maybe we might have rushed this player back, or it was very unfortunate what happened to Thomas Partey. We'll have a look at it again and see how he feels. Finished. You don't have to go in to say like, oh, the player should have done this or he didn't do that, and I wanted him to get back into the field because he didn't get the gravity of the situation.
You know, he's trying to establish dominance in a way. It's quite weird.
That's exactly.
But anyway, we got Burnley as our next fixture. How we feeling? Like, I'm hoping that look, Burnley is no tough feat, and I think if we're going to cross the ball like we did against Tottenham, they're going to deal with it very easily. But hopefully, Burnley is the type of game that we find that creativity. I know we say this every game, but hopefully the next game, it's almost like we're waiting for the light to turn on, and it feels like it could be any moment. Yeah, it's getting dimmer and dimmer, but like after every game, for some reason, we still have the hope that, the next game we can find the creativity where, we up the chemistry a bit, and it builds from there. How are you guys feeling for the Burnley game? And do you think if we get a few goals, we can find our way back to playing beautiful football again? Because we've done it in the Europa, like we've scored a couple goals, but we're talking about a Premier League side here, and Sean Dyche, who's also quite a thorn he's a thorn in everyone's side.
Greg, what do you think?
That's the best thing we can do as fans, eh? I mean, like, we don't know we can't talk to the players and psych them up. We can only just psych ourselves up.
Yeah, that's the worst thing. Not knowing what's going on in the changing room. Like, just wanting to say, fucking Xhaka, can you just lift your feet and pass the ball forward? But anyway,
I swear, he's playing football like he's wearing slippers.
Dude, that's the best example I've ever heard. I was saying that
sandals.
I was saying
sandals.
I was like saying that his studs are too long because, or he's got like hooks in his studs because the guy's just so flat-footed.
It's those Under Armours that he plays in. Terrible. When I think about this Burnley game, will Pepe be back in?
I think so.
Because if Pepe is back in from serving suspension, I want to see Pepe play and William Chang bench.
Yeah.
Nah, I don't even want William on the bench.
You want him to terminate his contract? Eh?
Just send him on a little vacation for the rest of the season, and then
let him go.
If it was up to me, I'd have Saka play everywhere, dude.
Yeah.
I would have him playing goals.
I want to. I think I would like to see Pepe back in and actually keeping. I mean, Partey won't be available now, but I was going to say I'm happy with I can do with the 3 still, even playing against Burnley. But I think when we play against Burnley, maybe we catch a W, we pick up some points. But it's going to be cyclical, and then it's going to be a dip again after that. But we still do need to assure that we get the points against Burnley.
We will see Willian play against Burnley. By the way, he's
going to shine. If he plays against Burnley and he shines, I'm going to be not going to accept a W. Reject it.
Pepe is only returning against Southampton.
I really don't like that guy.
He's returning on the 16th of December.
Pepe,
yeah. So Willian's going to be.
And then, I don't think Bellerin should play. I think Maitland-Niles should be in instead of Bellerin.
Yes,
I think that's a hot topic at the moment as well. Why has Maitland-Niles disappeared? What happened? Because it's not as though in the games that he played badly.
Yeah.
He was really good against Rapid Wiener in midfield as well. But
is it really called Rapid Wiener?
No, it's Wiener. I think you're pronouncing a W with a V.
It's Vienna.
Rapid Vienna. Jeez, Warwick. Yeah, I'm calling it club.
I was doing that on purpose.
Yeah. I questioned myself. Like, I know it's not Rapid Vienna.
It's Rapid Vienna.
Vienna's.
Vienna.
This Maitland-Niles situation is funny because I don't even understand what's happened to flipping Bellerin. Like, I think his pants are a bit too tight, or too high. And it's just like chowing in his butt cheeks. Maybe if you just relax his pants a bit, you could have some room to breathe. And he can't throw the ball. He's never known how to cross the ball.
Don't get me started on throw-ins.
I would like to see Maitland-Niles come in, and which is weird again with Arteta, because there was questions about Maitland-Niles and the possibility of him leaving.
Yeah,
I mean, he's a good player, but he's also not like. We've also kind of accepted we've had to hype up average players. I'm sorry to say. I'm not saying Maitland-Niles is an average player, but he's not a world beater. He's not a player that you can call upon or trust just because you want to.
No, of course not. Of course not.
But he's better than Bellerin at the moment.
No, and any healthy team has competition for places, and it comes back to this Willian thing, Willian and Pepe, that if someone is playing badly and the other person is training well, put the person who's training in well and give him his chance to play, and that's that healthy competition, because now Maitland-Niles has his chance. And I'm talking about Premier League here, because it's a healthy team is not just about playtime. It's not just about Maitland-Niles playing in Europa. It's about getting in that first squad. He's one of the first names in their position on the team sheet. If a player is playing badly and the other is training well, or even playing well in Europe, there's make those choices and don't just rely on players getting better. Those who are in poor form just getting better by more playtime, when someone could actually take that role up immediately and play better immediately. I find it very, very strange, because imagine how Maitland-Niles feels, where he's like, I've been playing well in Europe, but Bellerin is still. You'll get despondent.
Him and Reece Nelson even.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, gents,
we'll see what happens against the Burnley game, but yeah, we're still very much deep in the mud. That was the North London derby. It kind of sealed or confirmed that the shifts have happened. Tottenham are the dominant team, and we're the lesser team. Now we have to fight about who's the best between Arsenal and bloody Aston Villa. We're not even the chat about, forget Chelsea, forget Tottenham. To Crystal Palace and Aston Villa are where we are. But Greg, thank you so much for joining us in the pod all the way from Amsterdam.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's been a great pleasure having again a third voice on the podcast, and you are officially our second guest. And we wrap it up, and we look forward to the Burnley game and hope that Arteta is able to change things around. From Warwick and myself, goodbye. And also remember to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, check us out on Spotify, as well as Apple Podcast. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, fellas.
Cheers.
Give me one name. I haven't seen it well, I have to look at it again.
Anyone else would have gone home after this?